Alright everybody, this week we've got ourselves some vampires, we got ourselves some funk music, we got some 70s grindhouse, and it's all mixed together in one of the coolest little horror movies of all time. Let's go. Okay everybody, this week we are looking at 1972's Blacula. One of the great 70s blaxploitation flicks. But before we get into everything, you know the drill. To the trailer we go.
You shall pay, Black Prince. I curse you with my name. You shall be Blacula.
Blacula, the Black Avenger, rising from his tomb to fill the night with horror. Blacula, Dracula's soul brother, deadlier even than he.
You know, he is a strange dude.
You're the nut that ran in front of my cab. You're the only imbecile on this street. Boy.
Blacula.
Look at man, you found, he's got to be around here somewhere. Now listen, you take your hands off of me. I don't know you.
He thirsts for your blood. He hungers for your soul. Warm young bodies will feed his hunger. Hot, fresh blood will quench his awful thirst.
Make it a Bloody Mary. Are you, into the occult?
No!
How about the, heavy stuff?
What do you think of vampires?
Vampires? I think they're possibly the most fascinating of all.
More horrifying than Dracula. The Black Avenger, Blacula. From American International Pictures.
Okay, this movie was made in 1972 by William Kane. He was basically predominantly a director of TV series. He had SWAT and the Dukes of Hazzard. He did the Mod Squad, the Rookies, all those like classic 70s show. And this was his foray into film. He did one or two others, but he was predominantly known for being a television director. And somehow he wound up doing the greatest blaxploitation flick of all time. Maybe not greater than Shaft, but damn close with Blacula. Okay, our main actor in this movie is William Marshall. Now, to anybody who's into sci-fi or any of that kind of thing, you're going to remember him predominantly as Dr. Daystrom from an episode of Star Trek way back in like 1967. But William Marshall was an imposing figure. He was a 6'5", elegant, well-spoken man with a deep, deep bass voice. His voice and his command of the English language was something that would like rival royalty. That when he spoke, you were just like, this guy, I wish I could talk like that. You know what I mean? I wish I could sound like this guy. He just sounded so cool and so suave and so elegant and so regal and so intelligent that no matter what he said, he could try to sell you like a 72 Pinto and you'd be like, this is going to be the greatest car on earth. Beyond being an actor, it's kind of shocking that William Marshall, who showed up in a lot of TV shows, he was in a lot of different things. He was on things like Bonanza and Rawhide and Ben Casey. And some of those he actually sang because he was actually an operatic singer on top of being an actor. So he was like a really well-rounded kind of guy for such a film where he's just basically playing, you know, Dracula for all intents and purposes. But it was a cool choice because he brought an elegance to the role. He just wasn't some kind of like, you know, dippy character or some kind of a street character or some kind of crap like that. He brought an elegance and a sophistication to the character, and it made the movie benefit from it dramatically. I don't think this movie would have worked with anybody else, to be brutally honest. I think William Marshall made this movie work. Playing his wife / newfound love was Vonetta McGee. She played Tina / Luva in this motion picture. Vonetta McGee worked pretty semi-constantly back in the day. She was on TV shows like Cagney and Lacey. She was on Helltown. She was in things like Starsky and Hutch and Policewoman. Did a lot of television work. She was floating around on TV quite a bit. She was also in movies like, she was in Repo Man. She was in what the hell was the other one? The Eiger Sanction. She popped up in the Eiger Sanction. So she had a career where, at that period of time, where you would see her face, you would say, "Oh man, that's Tina from Blacula." So she did what she did while she was doing it. So God bless her. Okay, now Denise Nicholas, she plays Tina's sister Michelle. Denise Nicholas, she popped up in a lot of stuff back in the day. She was in movies like, she was in Let's Do It Again, which was a movie that I know it's got Bill Cosby in it, but it was a great flick. I'm sorry. We're going to review this thing someday because this movie was just too entertaining not to review. She was also on TV shows like In the Heat of the Night. She was in Capricorn 1. She was on a lot of TV shows. She was on Magnum P.I. She was on things like One Day at a Time. She was in The Love Boat. Well, who the hell wasn't on Love Boat? Now you think about it, really. But everybody, whatever. Anyway, so she was floating around. Ironically, she even was in Ghost Dad in 1990 with Bill Cosby. So I don't know, maybe you remember from Let's Do It Again, or they became friends, who the hell knows. But she had a career where you'd see her face pop up and you'd say, "Hey, I know her." Okay, playing Dr. Gordon Thomas, which was basically the Van Helsing character in this motion picture. He was in stuff like Above the Law. He was in New Jack City. He was in Roots. He was in Roots. He popped up on TV shows like 227, and he would pop up on things like Stingray, which is a really short-lived TV show. And starring Frank Mancuso, who is Nick Mancuso? Why is his name falling in my head? I can't remember. But it was like a really short TV show about a guy who drove a car and he would do favors, but you had to pay him back the favor, whatever. And Nick Mancuso, now I remember. And he was just always popping up in things again. He never went on to be a big star, but he was always popping up in all kinds of stuff that you would say, "Oh my God, Blacula dude, Blacula dude, Blacula dude." And it was kind of entertaining just to see him pop up in different places. But he had a lot of roles in a lot of good motion pictures. Maybe not big roles, maybe not starring roles, but he was always on the scene doing his part in good movies. So, hey, thumbs up. Okay, one of my favorite actors in this movie is Elisha Cook Jr. Elisha Cook Jr., as soon as you see that man's face, you're going to say to yourself, "I have seen this man 1,000 times over on 1,000 different TV shows." He was in movies. He was in a lot of movies like Rosemary Baby, in The Big Sleep. He was in movies like Shane and The Maltese Falcon. He was in tons of stuff. He was on, I can't tell you how many TV shows. His career is long and his career is varied. Everything from Star Trek on, he was in everything. And it's crazy. If you go look this dude up on IMDb, you just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. It's like he had like 1,000 credits to his name. In the movie, they have him wearing this most ridiculous hook I have ever seen in my life, where it's like obviously like 6 inches longer than the other arm, so you know it's fake. And he's like just plays this like morgue assistant, and he's like always opening doors with the hook and everything. It's just friggin' hilarious because you're like, what are they doing? What were they doing? Okay, Lieutenant Peters was played by Gordon Pinsent. He's the kind of guy, again, if you look up his history, you see him in Blacula, like, oh, whatever happened to this guy? He's had a long career, especially on television. Everything from, Marcus Welby, MD, to Hogan Heroes, to Friday the 13th, the series. I mean, he's been in so much stuff. You're just like, my God, he's just one of those working actors that kept going, kept his career moving, and no matter what, he was always like, there's like a year that he wasn't in a couple movies or a couple TV shows. He was just constantly going. So, hey, job well done. Okay, it's 1780. Mamuwalde and Luva go to visit Count Dracula. Mamuwalde is an African prince, and he is looking to abolish the slave trade. So they go in there to talk to Count Dracula, because Count Dracula, for whatever reason, happens to be a man of high note and importance in his town. I don't know, he's got a huge castle, he must have some bucks. Who cares? All of a sudden, you find out that Count Dracula is probably one of the most racist assholes on the planet. I mean, he just starts saying some crazy shit to Mamuwalde, and he starts making these advances at his wife and all this other kind of stuff. So Mamuwalde says, come on, we're out of here. We're leaving. We're not dealing with this. As he gets up to leave, Dracula says, no, buddy, you're not allowed to leave. A fight breaks out. Watch. the fight. Judo legend and stuntman extraordinaire Jean LaBelle is one of the guys that comes into this and gets tossed over a table a couple times. It is awesome just seeing Jean LaBelle pop up. I mean, I was just like, Jean LaBelle, how Jean LaBelle, right? So that's side note. Just, it's really cool. Whatever. Fight continues. They overtake Mamuwalde. They lock him in a coffin, but not until after Dracula bites him and proclaims that he shall be Blacula, and he shall hunger for blood for an eternity while locked in a coffin that he can't escape from. And outside the coffin, listening to his screams of hunger, will be chained in a room Luva, his wife, dying herself of starvation. How cruel can you get? How gothic horror can you make it? This movie starts off on an awesome note, and it only continues. We cut. Now it's 200 years later. It's the early 70s, and there's these two rather flamboyant interior designer, antique collectors, blah, 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 at Dracula's castle. And they are buying all kinds of leftover goods from Dracula's castle, because apparently Van Helsing has killed Dracula. And when Dracula died, instead of burning down his castle, instead of, smashing all his stuff, dragging him through the streets, what do? Well, lawyers come in, you have an estate sale. Shit happens, I guess. I mean, it's just like, it's like living in the burbs in, the modern day. You just have an estate sale. Grandpa's gone. Fuck it. Who cares? In all of that, they buy all the goods from Dracula's castle, including a couple coffins left over in the room. Why nobody decided to look in the coffins? Who the hell knows? But they buy them anyway. This all gets shipped over to California. As they're unboxing all the goodies that they have bought, one of the guys has an accident, cuts his arm. Just at that moment, out from the coffin comes Blacula. The craziest eyebrows you've ever seen in your life. The wildest sideburns you've ever noticed. And he kills both these characters, as he would do. The movie continues. All of a sudden, one of these guys, the interior design guys, is laying there dead in a coffin. It feels like 15 minutes of movie was missing, because now Blacula is staring at him through a curtain at the funeral home, just looking at him. I guess coming to collect him, like, come on, dude, let's get out of here. You're with me now. And these friends of his come in, and in there, Blacula sees the reincarnation, theoretically, of his wife Luva, who is now this woman named Tina, who looks incredibly like Prince, all dressed in purple, with a hood pulled over her head, and she's about 5'3" and 112 pounds. Does any of this sound familiar to you? Does any of this sound familiar to you? Mamuwalde says to himself, oh my God, it's my wife, she's reincarnated, I must go see her. So he starts following her down the street, chasing her really, because she's like, what is this dude in LA chasing me down the street for? So she's running, she gets away, but she's running and she drops her purse. What is Dracula going to do 200 years after not seeing any kind of technology, not knowing what a car is, not knowing that people carry personal IDs? He picks up the purse and he knows her name now. Why wouldn't you? I mean, he didn't have to adjust to the modern times. He didn't have to sit there and say, my God, a car, a plane, where the hell am I? There! He's just blended right in. He's just, blended right. I'm surprised he doesn't walk over to a phone booth and just, whatever. One thing though is while he's chasing her, he gets hit by a cab driver. This figures in later. I got to throw this in. He gets hit by a cab driver, and he's chasing her. He calls the cab driver stupid or something like that. She gets ticked off, whatever. She's like this crazed cab driver. She's got the big orange hat on, like, Cabbie Ward Escape from New York. She's talking mad shit to Blacula. She's acting like a complete asshole. But he kind of brought on her acting like a complete asshole. He kind of, he was rude to her. So he bites her and she winds up in the city morgue. I'm not going to go very much farther than that, but whatever. Later on in this movie, Blacula tracks down Luva, Tina, whatever. And nobody's questioning the fact that this guy is dressed 200 years inappropriately for the time he's living in. And he comes up to her and he says, oh, madame, I'm sorry if I frightened you. You looked like my wife, my dead wife. And I knew I had to follow you. I knew I had to talk to you. And she's like, Fuck it, all right, sounds cool. Okay, so she invites him over to the party. He comes down, he sits out, and he hangs out with everybody. And in that crowd is Dr. Gordon. Dr. Gordon works for like the police department, and he's been looking into all these happenings with the interior designers who are oddly friends of his, but he doesn't seem overly connected to the fact that they're dead now. But he knows everybody that they know. Whatever, I don't know. So anyway, Dr. Gordon has also been running around behind the scenes all this. He finds out that the one interior designer had these 2 bite marks on his neck. He found out later on that the cab driver woman has bite marks on her neck. So he's kind of mixed up in this whole thing without setting out to be mixed up in this whole thing. And here he is sitting at the table with Dracula as he's investigating people with bites on their necks. Shit happens. Okay, I'll go a little bit further in the movie. I'm going to jump ahead a bit because I don't want to give away too much of the movie. But there's a part where Blacula finally confesses to Tina who he is and what he is. And he tells her, "You are Luva, the reincarnation of my wife." And apparently she's just fine with this. She's like, I'll forsake all and, forget it. Who gives a shit? I gotta have you. I've known you for 48 hours. You're just this charming 6'5" dude with a badass way of pronunciation. I'm gone. I'm yours. Let's do this thing. My favorite scene in this motion picture, bar none. I'm not going to tell you what happens. I'm not going to get into the details. But my favorite part of this picture is the morgue scene. Morgue scene, cab driver lady, Elisha Cook Jr. That's all I got to say. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. All right, everybody, I'm going to let this go at that. What makes this movie work? Is it a perfect film? No. Is it perfectly written? No. Is it perfectly directed? No. Is it perfectly acted? No. But is the directing good enough? Yeah. Is the acting good enough? Yeah. Is the story fun enough? Yeah. And are you going to have a good time watching it? Yeah. It's campy, it's a little bit goofy, but it's well paced. It's mostly well constructed for the kind of film that it is. It's a 70s grindhouse blaxploitation movie. I mean, this was never meant to garner Academy Awards, but you're going to like it, you're going to enjoy it. William Marshall and Vonetta McGee put on performances that draw you into the motion picture, and they make you care about these characters within reason, and they make you enjoy this flick within reason. It's a fun movie to watch. It doesn't take itself overly seriously. It doesn't try to be anything more than what it is. It doesn't try to break out of what it is. It's just a good sit in the house at the time, sit in a dark theater, buy your 25-cent popcorn, and just chill out for an hour and a half and walk out and say, yeah, it was some pretty good shit. There's fun music along the way. There's some funny one-line, total 70s goofy dialogue. It's just one of those motion pictures where you walk out of it and you say to yourself, I don't know why I like that, but that shit was awesome. Anyway, that's it, folks. I'll catch you later. Have a good one, and take care. Always be safe, be happy. Bye.